There's a new kind of opposition to Justice Democrats that I want to address for everybody today. I want to talk directly to you about this kind of stuff. So we already know who our enemies are, by and large. You know it, I know it. It is the Republicans. Now, by the way, that doesn't mean that, anything they do by definition we will oppose, because that's shutting your mind off and not being intelligent. So if Trump, for example, wants to do an infrastructure bill, let's do that. Let's sit down and iron it out. He said 1 million times, I'm going to protect Social Security and Medicare. Okay, great. We're going to hold you to that. We're going to hold you accountable. Any Republican who wants to be on that page, great. That's true bipartisanship. Rand Paul wants to end the drug war. Let's work together on that, buddy. But by and large, when you look at the numbers, the overwhelming majority of Republicans are our enemies. The philosophy that they represent, the sellout nature of the party, they're our enemy. When they do something right, credit where credit is due, because we're fair. Trump killed TPP? Great. Nothing but credit on that front. But almost everything else, we know what that party represents. So it's no surprise to anybody that they are our enemy. There's another enemy that we have, and we've spoken about this quite a bit. Corporate Democrats. Corporate Democrats, to sum it up, it's the Hillary Clinton wing of the party, the Cory Booker wing of the party. Cory Booker just voted to keep the price of medicine higher. How low do you have to go? How low can you go? I think that's a song too, isn't it? So Bernie Sanders proposed an amendment to a bill. And the amendment said, we're going to import drugs from Canada because Canada pays way less for their drugs. Sometimes they pay half. Sometimes, we're paying 3 times, 4 times more for drugs than Canada is. Now, why is that? Because Canada actually has a board that negotiates with the pharmaceutical companies to get lower drug prices. So they're allowing bargaining. Here in the U.S., by law, they can't bargain. So that means whatever the pharmaceutical companies say, we pay. So Bernie's like, whoa, we're just going to stop that. Here's an amendment to a bill that changes that. Cory Booker was a Democrat who voted with almost all the Republicans. There were 12 Republicans, to their credit, who flipped and voted with Bernie. But most of the Republicans voted against Bernie, and Cory Booker joined them, as well as over 10 other Democrats. So they're also our enemy, because what they do is they hijack liberal and progressive causes, and then they use that as a shield to pull the wool over your eyes, while behind the scenes they serve their corporate donors. Now, Cory Booker has his excuses, but it's nothing but a pharmaceutical company talking point. He says, oh no, it's the FDA. The FDA, we don't have the FDA, look after these drugs, so it's a lack of regulation. So I just want the drugs to be safe, that's it. Cory, show me the epidemic of people dropping dead from their bad drugs in Canada. It doesn't exist. You want to know why? The regulatory bodies in Canada are even stricter than the regulatory bodies here in the United States of America. So your objection is bullshit. What he's really doing is serving the pharmaceutical companies, who, by the way, many of them are in his home state of New Jersey and have contributed about $300,000 to him over the years. How stupid do you think we are? We see right through you, you McLiberal, you sellout. So this is our other enemy. Our enemy, Democrats like Cory Booker, Democrats like Joe Manchin, the blue dog Democrat who probably votes with Republicans more than he votes with Democrats. Our enemy is Hillary Clinton, a Democrat who supported NAFTA, who supported TPP, who supported deregulation of Wall Street. A Democrat who supported the Patriot Act, who supported George W. Bush's war in Iraq. By the way, there was a third path on the war in Iraq, too. You could have said there was an amendment proposed on a bill that said, look, we're not voting for the authorization for him to go to war or against it. What we're going to do is take a middle path that says, if the UN approves the war, then we're okay with authorizing Bush to do it. So there was even a middle path. Hillary didn't even take that. She said, go ahead. Go ahead, George. I trust you. So she voted for an offensive war against a country that didn't attack us, that killed minimum hundreds of thousands of civilians. I can't excuse that. That's not just a whoops, tee-hee-hee, did I mess up? No, that's you participated in a war crime. There's no getting by that. So these are the kinds of Democrats who are our enemies. So we have the Republicans who are mostly our enemy. The corporate Democrats who are mostly our enemy. But there's a new kind of enemy that I didn't know we had. In fact, going into Justice Democrats, I wouldn't have been able to foresee this by any stretch of the imagination. But this new kind of enemy is defeatism. It's defeatism and political nihilism, and it's by well-meaning people, but they don't understand that they're an unwitting ally of corporatism. So what do I mean by that? Well, there are some people who've reached out to Justice Democrats, which is framing it kindly. They've more attacked Justice Democrats. And their argument is, it's not going to work. 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 It's just not going to work. So I don't even understand why we're trying here. So let's all go lay in a chalk outline of ourselves on the ground and masturbate with our tears for decades and talk about how it's totally hopeless. It's totally hopeless. Forget it. It's over. It's done. Now, again, these are people who mean well, and they've been burned time and time and time again by the political system. They've been burned. We've all been burned by it. We all feel it. But that is not an option to say, forget it. It's mission impossible, so why even try? So we have third-party people who are trying to wage the revolution from without. I support those people. We support those people. Justice Democrats support those people. Because we say, look, it's about the policies. That's what it's about. So if we could get the policies through that route, we're supporting you. Furthermore, in our platform, we have specific proposals that would make third parties a viable option. But as of right now, there's massive institutional biases against them. So we disagree that that's the best way to try to win this war. We try to win it from waging it within. But here's the reality. The best way to wage this fight is to have people from without and within. By definition, it's a matter of math. If you only support one prong of the two prongs in this approach, your position is simply weaker. So if you only support Justice Democrats and say, oh, fuck you, Green Party, fuck you, Democratic Socialists, well then, you're actively hurting the cause because you're only supporting one route of two possible routes. By the flip side, if you only support Democratic Socialists and the Greens and third parties, but you say, fuck you, Justice Democrats, you're also hurting the movement. So be aware that the only rational position to take is support every attempt to get there. Now, one of the main arguments made by people who've wholly embraced defeatism, whether or not they realize it, they've wholly embraced political nihilism, whether or not they've realized it, is, well, you have fraud, voter fraud. So since there's so much voter fraud and it's so rampant and it's so terrible, it is impossible to win and get real progressives and real liberals who are principled, who don't take corporate money and don't take billionaire money, elected, who will fight for the people. It's impossible to get them elected. Why are you even trying? Stupid. You're so stupid, Justice Democrats, for trying to do the right thing here. Let's understand a few basic facts as to why this is incorrect. When you talk about what happened to Bernie Sanders, for example, in the primary, what happened? What did we learn from the DNC leaks? Well, we learned that, for example, the Democratic Party was biasing the system against him massively. They didn't want him. The establishment didn't want him. And, of course, the DNC is the establishment, right along with the RNC, right along with Wall Street, right along with the donors. So they pulled out all the stops. For example, they wanted closed primaries all over the place. You know, in my state, New York, they made it so that you couldn't switch your parties. I don't even know how many months it is. I forgot. I lost count. What is it? 3 months, 6 months beforehand, you had to switch parties. If you were a Republican and you wanted to vote for Bernie Sanders, you had to switch your party months and months in advance before many of these people even knew who Bernie Sanders was. closed primaries means you have to be a Democrat to vote in the actual primary. When you close the primary, Hillary's more likely to win because she got more partisan Democrats. When you allow in millennials and independents and new voters and more voters, Bernie was more likely to win. So the establishment tried to keep as many closed primaries as possible. They also changed voting times in some districts that were more likely to be pro-Bernie in some states. They also tried to hide the debates. We remember that scandal. They also leaked questions. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Donna Brazile, hey, Hillary, here, I'm in touch with the people at CNN. This is what they're going to ask you. You should prepare. Debbie Wasserman Schultz also pressured the media. She said to Morning Joe, hey, how about I talk to your boss? Because I think you're not being fair. I don't think you're being kind to me and Hillary. So the DNC pulled out all the stops. Even with all the stops, Bernie almost won. So you have a guy who's a 372-year-old guy, doesn't comb his hair, bad posture. He's a Jewish, potentially atheist socialist. And he got 22 states and 47% of the vote. When no pundit going into it said, no mainstream pundit, I should say, said he would even win one state. So even with all the biases against him, he almost won. The message to me isn't, well, that's it, let's go home. The message to me is, oh shit, let's run that into the end zone. We're almost there. Now again, people say, Kyle, you're still not accepting the reality. The voter fraud in the system, there's no way you're going to get these people elected. Hey guys, Bernie Sanders is a sitting senator right now. I don't know if you know that. Kind of a big fact. It proves our point. What is our point? Electing principled liberals and progressives is possible. That's our point. It is by definition not impossible because Bernie's already in the Senate. He's one of 100 people in the Senate. You cannot make the argument the fraud is so bad and so, off the rails that there's no way. I mean, Hillary had it locked up. That's the problem. She had it locked up from the beginning. They rigged it from the beginning and it's totally locked up, which is why right now Hillary Clinton is president of the United States. What? Donald Trump raised less money than Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton was a bigger representative of the establishment than Donald Trump. Now, Trump has said now that he's in office, he's kowtowing to the establishment in every conceivable way. That's a given. We agree on that. But at the time, the establishment wanted Hillary Clinton. They wanted Hillary Clinton. She had every institutional advantage. She outraised Donald Trump, and Donald Trump won. You want to know why? Because all the establishment can do is tip the scales and bias the system in one direction or another direction. They couldn't literally hack into the voting machines and flip the votes. If they could have, Hillary would be president right now. If they could hack directly into the machines and change the votes, Bernie Sanders wouldn't be a senator right now. Right? Look, this is the argument you're making. It's not the argument I'm making. You're the ones that are saying it's impossible, it's impossible, it's impossible, it's impossible. It is 100% possible. Bernie's already a senator. You know what we're trying to do? Run people who are going to be in the Senate like Bernie. Run people who are going to be in the House of Representatives like Bernie. There's a Bernie Sanders already there. It is by definition possible. So it's not impossible, it's just hard. Stop using excuses. Stop making excuses. I'm sick of this bullshit. I expect malicious attacks from Republicans and corporate Democrats. What I do not expect is malicious attacks from people who share our goals and believe in our philosophy. But they're so downtrodden and they're so beat up by the times they've got burned that now they're actively standing in the way of a movement that has a real chance to succeed. Especially because we have the momentum behind us, we have the people behind us, we have the right platform, and we finally came up with the real solution. You have to take a pledge to take no corporate money and no billionaire money. And when these people run, they will rub that in their opponent's face like there's no tomorrow. You know how much you up your chances of victory when you spread that fact? Oh, that's nice. It's good that my opponent says that. Would that be him speaking or his donor speaking? Because he takes money from corporations and billionaires. He takes big money. I do not. We do not. I'd take money from teachers and accountants and construction workers and union guys and regular people, the cashier at the local grocery store. That's who I'd take money from. So you know who I'm going to represent? Them. You know what I believe in? What they believe in. This isn't about me. I'm a medium for their ideas that they want implemented. People want to see the minimum wage increase. That's what I'm going to fight for. People want to see universal background checks on gun purchases. That's what I'm going to fight for. People want to see single-payer healthcare. That's what I'm going to fight for. People want to see free college. That's what I'm going to fight for. People want us to stop these unnecessary wars overseas where we spend trillions for no goddamn reason and we have nothing to show for it, and they want somebody to fight back against the military-industrial complex. That's what I'm going to fight for. This is a real movement with real people behind it. So far, it's been a little over a week. $373,000 has been raised so far. Because people understand, I'll give my $27 because this seems like it has a chance of working, and we're really trying to get rid of the corporate Democrats inside the party and make the Democratic Party what it was supposed to be all along. We have 2,420 nominations. So understand, that's not, hey, we have 2,420 people who signed up and said they're Justice Democrats. No. That number's over 100,000. We have 2,420 nominations. People who actually want to run for office. And we're going to vet them. We're going to pick the best ones. We're going to train them. And you're going to sit there and tell me, it had no chance of working. So let me get out of the fucking way. Get out of the way. If you agree with our goals, get out of the way. I'm going to put it out there very simple. I know who our enemies are. I know I'm going to fight the Republicans. I know they're going to smear us. I know the corporate Democrats are going to smear us. I'm expecting those attacks. But if you agree with our goals, get out of the way. We got no room for your bullshit. We got no room for undercutting a movement that has a chance of working. Again, if you disagree on tactics, fine. You're my ally. You're my fucking ally. If you are in the Green Party and you say, look, man, Justice Democrats, I like you. I like what you're trying to do, but I don't think it's going to work. I think third party is the best way to do it, even though it might be harder with some more institutional disadvantages. I love you. I love you. And when we take over, we'll be passing laws that make it easier for you because we want third parties are great. We want those voices in the debate. So you're my ally. I'm working with you. But if you agree with our goals and you stand in our way and try to undercut us, that's a special kind of low. So we have three enemies. We have Republicans, we have corporate Democrats, and we have defeatists and political nihilists who say, it's so bad, I don't even want to try. Well, when Bernie Sanders is a sitting senator, and our goal is to get Bernie Sanders-like politicians in the Senate, and our goal is to get Bernie Sanders-like politicians in the House of Representatives, for you to say it's impossible is factually wrong. For you to say the fraud is so bad that it can't be done is factually wrong. We are right, you are wrong. We are right, you are wrong. Bernie Sanders is already in the Senate. We're trying to put people like Bernie Sanders in the Senate. It is, of course, possible. It is just hard. But you are wrong. Can I be any more clear than that? You are wrong. Get the fuck out of the way. We're going to fight for getting money out of politics. We're going to fight for universal health care. We're going to fight for free college. We're going to fight to end the wars. We're going to fight to make the minimum wage a living wage. Either get on board or don't. But don't you dare turn around when we succeed and go, oh yeah, Justice Democrats, I was with them all along. I mean, they worked and they did the right thing and they took over the Democratic Party. By the way, there's further evidence that this is going to work. What the Tea Party did worked. People aren't going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you that. But what happened? The Tea Party came along. This is the base of the Republican Party saying, we're going to take it over. Sorry, we're going to cleanse all the establishment Republicans. Fast forward to today. Republican president, Republican Senate, Republican House, Republican state legislatures, Republican governors. Majority everywhere. Don't copy the tactics of them, because it'll only work perfectly. Yeah, that's right. We're taking over the party. That's what's going to happen.